Welcome, welcome to the 10th episode of the Austin Downbeat. We've made it to double digits, folks. And today's an extra special episode, not just because of that, but because we also have our first woman on the show. Yay! So excited about that. And there's more to come. Start balancing that out. No offense, guys. And then the second thing that makes it special, or the third thing that makes it special, is that there are 3 interviews for you today. We are focusing on an event that's happening this Friday, April 29th, called Lush Life. This is Lush Life 2, the second sort of episode. And what it is the brainchild of the beautiful James Robinson. And he takes a couple artists, 3 artists, pulls them into the studio, works with them, they collaborate, brings in all of his wonderful village of people, and they film interviews and kind of give you a feeling of like what that's kind of like behind the scenes. And then when they're ready, they bring you to the live event, which is what Friday is. So it's sort of a live documentary series from the studio to the stage. And so this Friday is the stage. And I'll be hosting, and so I'll be there and really looking forward to giving these 3 artists big hugs. I've enjoyed spending time with them today separately and having a chance to get to know who they are and why they do what they do. So let me introduce them. First up, we have Moody Banks. She's a mood, a walking, breathing mood, and I cannot wait to meet her in person. Second, we have Vic Vase. Such a sweetheart and so talented, and I'm so glad he chose to do what he's doing. And then last, bringing it home, is the sweetheart Clarence James. All of these artists are so loving, and I'm just so honored to sit down with them and get a feel for their stories and their hearts. And I think that you will enjoy them as much as I did today. So without further ado, we're not going to do a rundown today of who's playing. We're just going to focus on Lush Life. You can still get tickets online. You can look at my social media, of course, and everyone involved will be blasting you this week with details. So if you are looking for tickets, reach out and let me know, and I'll help you with that. So I'm going to be quiet now and just let you jump into these interviews. So first up is Moody Banks. Enjoy. Welcome to the show, Moody Banks.
Yes.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. It's an extra special welcome because you are officially the first woman on the show.
Hey.
And a fellow Californian as well.
Yes,
so it's just all divine timing. I believe in that.
I was literally about to say that. I was like,
okay, I can't wait to meet you in person on Friday, which we're going to talk about what Friday is. But first, Moody Banks, tell us where you come from, how you got here to Austin, Texas from California, and sort of your journey in, doing that with music as your vehicle.
Yeah. So I'm a firm believer in, divine intervention and just the universe placing you in specific places at specific times. So I am from California. I grew up Riverside, California, and I always wanted to work in music. And I always have been so involved in music and creativity, and I love to write, I love to paint. My grandma's actually like an amazing painter. So growing up, I was always very creative, and I was always very like, wow, like, the world is beautiful. Like art makes everything better. But I never really considered that as an avenue for myself, like as a career, because, that's always kind of like a taboo area when it comes to, parents.
Security.
Security, right. So, man, I wanted to work in music so bad. And I actually played college basketball. So I was a Division II basketball player. So I was on scholarship. So like, I used to sing a lot when I was younger. And then when I started getting good at basketball, that kind of like took over my whole life. And my parents were like, you really need to focus on this. Like you can like pay for your college. And it did, it ended up doing that. So that was like very exciting, obviously, because college is expensive.
It is.
But man, I just honestly, like, I felt like there was a void. Something was missing. I always felt like, man, like, this is so cool, and I feel very blessed to be here, but like, this is not where
Yeah.
I want to be.
Your
So it was
soul, like your
yeah,
soul, right? Yeah.
yeah. So it was very, man, it was like such a give and take, because it's like I'm so thankful for the opportunity, but at the same time, like, I hate it.
Yeah. It's
You
not
know what I
enough. It's not
Yeah,
enough.
it's so hard when you, man, like when you're trying to, kind of please other people in a
Mhm.
sense. It's like, man, I don't want to let all these people down. Like I worked so hard. But after college, after I graduated, I was really conflicted, like in my spirit, because I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't know what I'm going to do now, because like I don't want to do any of this stuff that I have been trained to do. Um, so then I met a friend, and he was like, I live in Austin, like I own a music studio, like I do all these things here. And I was just like, wow, like that's so cool. Like, and
Mhm.
that was kind of the first spark of like me thinking like, man, you know what, I'm going to work in music, and I'm going to do like A&R, and I'm going to work at a studio and like all this stuff. So long story short, I ended up moving out here to Austin. I ended up working at that studio, and man, that it just opened my eyes to a whole new world, because I was like, wow, like this is a real business, like this is a real thing, like people can really do this.
Mhm.
And at the time, I was just like studio manager, working at this studio,
Mhm.
booking artists, and they would come in, and I would just like really be, I would really just be like appalled almost, like, man, like I feel like I can genuinely do this.
That's
Like,
awesome.
you know what I mean? And I was
Yeah,
like,
but what a great seat to sit in and be quietly just gaining that confidence. And when you go home at night, just being like, there's no reason that that I shouldn't be doing that too. Like I love that groundswell build of like, love that. Okay,
yeah,
tell me
I
more.
was like, man, like I gotta do this. And I was just, it just kept hitting me, hitting me, hitting me. And then one day, no one was there, like the booking had left and the studio was open. And
Oh, this is like a movie.
do you want to get in? And I was like, oh my gosh, like kinda, like yes, like you know what I mean? And then ever since that moment, like my life changed like instantly. I was like, oh no, like I'm an artist. Like it really truly like triggered something in my soul, like my inner child. I was just like, oh yeah, I forgot who I was. Like, you know what I mean? I was just like, oh my gosh, like wow. And then that was like my journey to music, and not only music, but like self-discovery, because I've never felt more myself than I do right now.
That makes me so happy. So when was that? Give me a timeline. Like what year was that?
That was actually 5 years ago now. So
Okay.
that was kind of a while ago, but it
Yeah,
was
but
still
you got to
a
subtract
process.
COVID. COVID doesn't,
Yeah.
2 years of
That's
that doesn't matter. So
and
yeah,
those 2 years I was just writing every single day. I was
good.
just like, hey, like this is what I'm doing. Like,
Yeah.
man. And I just have to say, like, to everybody listening, like, do not let fear be the thing that holds you back, because I was very afraid. Like, I'm not going to lie. I was like, holy shit, like, what am I doing with my life? Oh, sorry.
No, no, you can swear, you can say whatever you
Okay.
want. It's so great.
But like, once you take that leap of faith, and once you actually just, you don't know until you try, and the
Yeah,
hardest part is trying.
yeah, you bring up a good point because personally, I feel like I have this conversation with myself recently a lot and really looking at my fears face on. And it is so true what you just said. And it's also hard to get to that place where you finally go, I'm ready to acknowledge the fear and then just set it aside and it can stand next to me. I mean, I just talked about this with DZ Brown. I don't know. Do you know DZ?
I
We
do.
talked about, he's amazing about anxiety and fear and all of that. You learn how to bring that on stage with you because it's going to
Mhm.
come, right?
Yeah.
You
Hmm.
got to learn kind of the place to put that. But that's a big thing to learn how to do. I would
It
love
is.
to, I feel like if we had more time, I could spend an hour unpacking and kind of peeling that back. But it makes me so happy to hear, especially when creative people like you have something so beautiful and important to say that is so in line with who you are, that you've learned to do that and that you're doing that. That's why I do this show, is so I can have this conversation exactly with people, because there's so much value in what you just said, and that someone could watch this and be like, at that moment where the light goes off for them and they go, fuck yeah, okay. I mean,
Yeah.
Moody Banks, you're doing your thing. Like, you are an inspiration, and it doesn't, all it takes is for one person to just to be like, because they see you doing it, then they go, hey, I could do it too. And it's so cliche, right? But it's so huge when that light bulb goes off.
Yeah, and that's honestly, I feel like, my sole mission, because man, it's literally my life, like healing through music and just encouraging people to follow their dreams. And
Yeah.
every single place I go, like I'm very intentional person. Like everything I do is through very strict motives. Like
Yeah.
I want to be someone who shows people unconditional love and unconditional support, and like be that person for someone to be like, no, like this can be you. Like you can do this, and nothing can stop you if you truly believe that you can.
Yeah. Well, the only thing that can stop you is yourself.
Yourself.
Yeah. So that's the good news, right? We are kind
Right.
of our biggest problem. Once you get that, you can be like, oh, hey, move out of the way.
Oh, okay, let me stop.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so excited to have you on this show and to meet you. And I cannot wait to meet you in person on Friday. Let's talk about Friday and what
Yes,
that is. Lush Life 2.
yes, it's going down.
Okay, so you've been in the studio, yes? And there's like I've seen some Instagram videos where you guys are having a lot of fun. I'm like, hey.
Yes, man. I cannot express how much gratitude I have for James Robinson, for
Mhm.
Vic Race, for everybody that I work with, Juwan, Colin, everybody that I work with, man. It feels so good to be, almost like an outsider coming in,
Mhm.
but to be accepted and to hold space,
Mhm.
James, man, I owe so much to him, to be completely honest, because he has helped me so much. Like he's always pushing me to do more, always pushing me to write harder, always pushing me to just dig a little deeper.
Good.
But he just shows up and it's just like a ball of love. You know what I mean? And everyone can feel it. So those studio sessions, I'm just forever grateful, because it's like there will never be a time in my life where I feel like I won't have them. Like, you know what I mean? I
Family, yeah.
feel like that's like my soul family now. And like,
Mhm.
we're in it together, and like there's no greater feeling than to find like your group of people that have similar goals and similar desires. Like, I believe that multiple people believing at once like manifest things faster, and
Mhm.
I think that we're doing that for each other in every
Mhm.
way possible, and like we're holding each other accountable, and we're encouraging each other to like be our best. And
Yeah.
I think that's also like something so important. Like you have to surround yourself with people that want what's best for you. You
Mhm.
know?
Oh, yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah, so rooted with integrity and intention, like you talked about. And you can spot it from a mile away. I haven't met James yet. I've seen him. Actually, that's not true. I met him many years ago, after he performed at Antone's. I was with Johnny Gowdy. And um, and I could just tell,
Mhm.
like, he didn't, it's going to take now a couple years for me to actually meet him in person again and work with him and obviously host this event. But I just knew, like, you could just feel it. And then just being on each other's radar for the last few years, you can feel that from people. And it's really good idea to, include and fold those people into your life.
Yes.
So you're performing Friday night at the Pershing for
Yeah.
Lush Life 2. How many songs are you going to do? What's your, speaking of being intentional, so what's your mindset today? And, this week it's coming. So where are you kind of, putting yourself mentally to get ready for that show?
We are going to have a very moody set.
What
That is
does that
what
mean?
I'm going to say. It's going to be It's going to be really amazing. I'm actually performing all new songs that are not released yet. So I just got finished recording my next project, which is Feeling Colors, which will be dropping in summer.
Nice.
And man, these songs are, they're just really special to me. And I can't wait for you guys to hear them and feel them and experience them. Because for me, like, music and art is like very much about the writing. So like I'm really big on writing. So everything that I'm singing is very, very personal to me.
Good.
And I feel like it's just an experience. And the premise of Feeling Colors, it's like every song is associated with a color. So like
Ooh.
every song is supposed to make you feel a specific color. And each color is up for debate. I mean, I know what my colors are and what I feel they are, but it's an experience for everyone. So I'm very intrigued to see like what people feel, what colors they see.
That's so in line with kind of, again, this is the first time I'm meeting you, but how you occur to me just off the bat, I think is a really valuable thing to know, how you occur when you walk into a room. But I just feel like with your name, now talking to you, the fact that you based your songs on colors, it's so in line. Like you, I'm not worried one bit about you. Like, I just feel like you just keep following your intuition and your instinct, Moody. And I think you're going to just continue to knock people.
That really means a lot to me. So thank you.
Yeah. I mean it so sincerely. It's so cool to meet someone that is equal parts like you're acknowledging in your vulnerability in your state and your process, but then also so simultaneously confident in who you are and what you're meant to do. And I love that in people. I love that dynamic and that contrast, because that is the human experience. You know, there's no destination, right? It's just, figure it out.
Yep. Follow the signs.
Yeah. Well, I want more time with you. I'm going to get more time with you. But your co-show friends are also getting interviewed in this episode, but I'm really glad I got to spend some time with just you.
Me too.
So Lush Life 2 on Friday, April 29th at the Pershing. Tickets are available online.
Yes.
Follow my social media, Moody's social media, James Robinson, Lush
Life.
Life.
Links are in everyone's bio.
We are going to inundate you all week long. All right. Well, get back to rehearsal. Not that you need it, but enjoy.
We're going to make sure to give you guys the best possible show that we can possibly give. So you definitely don't want to miss it.
I have no doubt. I have no doubt. All right, Moody, thank you for stopping by, and I'll see you.
Thank you for having me. Shout out to the girls.
Yeah.
Run the world.
I'll like start doing my Beyonce. I need a fan, like a Sasha Fierce fan.
Yeah.
That one. Can you have one delivered for Friday so we can just have a fan?
What? I was like, I might.
Put it in your rider that you need a big Beyonce fan.
Hear that, James?
Yeah. James, did you get that? All right, I'll see you on Friday. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much.
All right. My day just keeps getting better and better because now we have Vase, who is a performer for Lush Life 2. Welcome to the show.
Yep. Thank you so much for having me once again. I'm much appreciated.
It's an absolute pleasure. I can't wait to meet you in person, but I'm so glad that we could do this.
Definitely.
This week's episode to get you all on and to push for the show. So because it's all kind of happening so fast, I'm genuinely curious about you and who you are and where you come from. Sure. And I've listened to your music. I did a cram session.
Yeah. There's a lot to process there.
Yeah. Sure. So walk me through from the beginning. Where are you from, and tell me a little bit about your journey to the music, the moment of music for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was born in Houston, Texas, downtown, St. Joseph's Hospital. I have a twin sister. Yeah. So I have a twin sister who I can actually say I have a day one. She's been riding with me since day one, literally. or
Shout
maybe
out to
even
her.
3. Yeah, shout out to Van. I have a little sister too, so I'm the only guy in the family, so they're big and influencing me on that. But basically, I've been a musician at heart my whole life. My parents used to get on to me for spoons, knives, forks, chopsticks, whatever I can get my hands on. I was drumming, beating the walls. My handprints were everywhere. Couldn't stop humming or singing. So it's unique because I'm the only one in my family. So not many people or no one in my family got, I guess, gifted with the musical ability. So I took it and ran. I was in band and jazz band and all of that in high school. That translated into a small music scholarship over at Texas Tech. So about 6 hours, same state. In Texas, you could drive anywhere for a zillion hours and you're still in Texas. Yeah. So I did a 4-year stint over there and got my music knowledge and musical ability up. I didn't want to do a bunch of playing like they wanted me to. They wanted me back in the marching band, back behind the drum set. I was really more focused on learning about music, learning scales, chord progressions, how to create songs, how to create melodies, create moods, things like that, which I was really interested in. I wanted to take my talents further just beyond drumming and hitting things. So that's actually where I started producing. So I couldn't bring a drum set or anything in my dorm. I absolutely had to have a creative outlet. Luckily for me, my dad actually, I guess, knew a DJ here in town or someone basically who was selling a souped up MacBook with all the bells and whistles for music production. Nice. So my dad said, hey, you know what? My son's over in college. He's learning about all this stuff. Let me get that off you. I'm gonna give it to him and let him see what he can do. So I kind of started very casually producing for rappers around the school, trying to make beats and just trying to create and see if I was any good at it. I eventually made my way back down to Austin, where I was basically almost damn near stuck in a 9-to-5 kind of grind. I was working in a bank, started to see my life kind of trend in that white picket fence kind of lifestyle. And I wasn't comfortable with it. I was making good money. I lived downtown. I could go do whatever I wanted, hang out with friends and stuff. And a huge hole, there was a massive void. I just wasn't satisfied. So I had still been producing and doing a lot of stuff around town for artists, but it was still kind of a passion project kind of thing. And I wasn't really getting anywhere with it. I was struggling to work with true talent. Even if I did get a chance to work with someone, they weren't really promoting. They weren't serious about their craft, things like that. Yeah. And I was kind of in this crosshair. Do I really commit and make this my life? Or do I just own up to the 9-to-5 lifestyle? What does my life look like? Luckily, I have a lot of support here. I grew up here in Austin. I was born in Houston. I grew up here. So I have a lot of friends and family close to me. And one of my best friends, shout out Alex Levine and his company Zbeck. They're doing great stuff around town. Anyway, he was the one who said, listen, man, like, I know you're talented. I know that you can write and produce and do all of this stuff a lot better than what you're doing with these artists. Like a lot of these artists, you're basically giving them all of your juice, trying to make them something when really you should try to do something yourself. So in a one weekend, I kind of just shut everyone out, hung out in my little home studio closet that I had built. And I wrote the first song ever for myself, which is actually on Spotify. It's called Deep Cut. It was the first attempt at anything as Vase before I even knew I was going to be Vase. And I showed it to a couple of my close friends and family, and they were like, oh my God, you did that? Like in your room by yourself, no help, no, this is what you got to be doing. So that was kind of an aha moment, like you're talking about. I had been doing really bad clients, no one worth anything really up until that point. And when everyone was like, dude, this is what you have to do. That is when I said, you know what, I'll give it a go. I'll step out of my comfort zone. I'll give it a go. And that actually translated even more so to committing to it full time. I went to record my first EP titled Ski Melage One at 512 Studios. That's where I met the owner, Omar Vallejo. Shout out 512 Studios and Omar. He loved working with me. I loved working with him. Our process together was very smooth. He was someone who brought my stuff to life, but also deeply was involved in what I wanted and my vision. By the time we were done, we had multiple sessions. It was a couple-week process. Whenever we wrapped up, he basically was like, "Hey, man, I could really use your help around the studio. Are you looking for a job at all?" So fast forward 3 years later, I've been there 3 years ever since. I'm a full-time music producer and recording engineer. I work with Moody Banks. I work with James. Shout out to James Robinson. James Robbie. He'll like that. I work with Clarence James. I work with anyone who's anyone around town. They have come to the studio. I have at least, been in the room, if not been deeply involved with a lot of them. We've had Moody last week. We have Clarence James today, I think. We're all in it. So I'd like to say in a blink of an eye, it really hasn't been. It's been a few years, but it feels like in a blink of an eye, fast forward, I'm working in, one of the best studios in town, working with the top talent in town, and right alongside doing my own personal thing, bass, kind of in between sessions and late night, overnight sessions at the studio. It's nonstop for me, but I'm super blessed. I can't thank anyone enough. Anything that's happened up to this point has just been massively helpful. And I'm just living the life that I feel like I should be living. So I feel really good about it.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's a very similar conversation that I just had with Moody. And I have a feeling, and it's a similar conversation, frankly, that I have with a lot of people on this show. There's something to be said for reaching that moment that probably feels like a low, but it is the entry point to a high.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can actually attest to that. This is getting a little vulnerable, but when I quit my day job, massively insecure about it, extremely overwhelmed with, oh my God, what did I just do?
Yeah, you can swear. You can say, oh, fuck.
Yeah. And I literally had that moment on the way, and I called my twin and I was like, hey, Van, I just wanted to, and it all came out. I was like, I have no idea what I just did. I just walked out of my job. I told myself I'm committing to music 100% full time. I have no idea where this goes, but I just felt deep down in my heart that that's what needed to happen. Luckily, like I said, she's my ride or die. She was like, you got it. This is what you need to be doing. Everyone knows it, blah, 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 blah. So I really haven't looked back since. And you're right. It did feel like a low when you kind of make that commitment. But man, if you are really, truly committed and you just do what you say you're going to do, it really isn't. It's always difficult. There's always ups and downs and, new obstacles to face, but you just stay committed and stay doing what you said you were going to do, man. I can attest, things happen and good things come your way. You meet great people, work with great people like Moody and Clarence and James and all them. So it's still at the beginning for, I think, a lot of us. We all have obviously gigantic aspirations to continue to grow and be the best that we can be. But I'm super lucky. I've found my place in this, little pocketed scene here in Austin, and working with like-minded people, working with talent, in comparison to me, that is, right on par, opposed to feeling like I'm the only one in the room who knows what they're doing. It feels right. It feels like I'm exactly where I need to be right now. So I feel super happy about it, super blessed.
I had kind of tears, and I had to hold them back a little bit because I think it's so wonderful that you shared that, and it's so important, and it's always super interesting to me when an artist, especially and I'm not going to say it's probably just rap, but there is a thing with the persona of a rapper that doesn't really connotate vulnerability.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So it's always my favorite when I get like DZ Brown was on, Jake Lloyd was on,
Great.
when that is their vehicle and that type of music is the vehicle. And I don't, and I'm hearing a lot when I listen to the music, I'm getting the message, I'm hearing a lot. But then when they come on and they share their heart,
Definitely.
it's like
It's something.
exponential value to me, not to discredit anyone else, but it's because I'm not getting that necessarily on the first, second, or third pass of listening to a song that they're giving. And I know that that song that I'm hearing of yours is a form of vulnerability. It's wrapped in vulnerability because you had the balls to do it and put it out and write it and all that stuff. But do you know what I'm saying? So
absolutely,
I especially appreciate someone like you going a little deeper and sharing that moment with us, because at the end of the day, you might be this like, cool rapper
persona,
but at the end of the day, you're alone in your bed, laying there, having your own thoughts, just like I do, and insecurities and vulnerabilities, just like everyone listening to this does. And so I really, really appreciate that. It makes me more interested in you, and it makes me want to move toward whatever you're doing.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Well, and I can even touch on it a little more. Something, obviously I work as a producer at the studio, so we do a bunch of clients, and a lot of times the topic is, what is the message of the song versus what is the message or the aesthetic of the artist?
Right.
And we see a lot where, hey man, I want to write about this, but I can't be this in the eye of the consumer. And something that at least I like to do as Vase, for me, I see myself being a big time producer. Whether I'm the next Drake or not, artist wise, is up in the air. But something for me is I would like to put in my music things that other people are still maybe not so much unwilling, but you're allowed to do that, have that vulnerability. You are allowed to be a rapper. And I sing in a lot of my music as well. A lot of people don't know. They ask me all the time, what genre are you? Because this one song you rap the whole time, and this song there's not a single rap in it. You're singing. And I bring in duality a lot. I always say, I have so many aspects of my life. I was in sports, but also was in the marching band. I'm a guy at heart, a true guy, but grew up with all females in the household. There's a ton of things in my life that create a lot of duality, and I'd even say, I don't know, a triality, or more than just two. I don't know if that's a real word, but
it is now.
And so being vulnerable and opening up and trying to just be real is real important to me. And so especially with the music, I always have said, at least right now, female artists are actually trending to be my personal favorite right now, because the industry has a stigma, or like, if you're a rapper, you got to rap about this. I need the cars, the clothes, the money, the big shiny outfits, all of that. And at least for me, I'm seeing a lot of females having a lot more creative process, a lot of more creativity in their music. They're not bound by, hey, I need you holding a gun in this music video, or any of this stuff. And I really admire that. I say, man, I listened to Georgia Smith's record, and I'm like, it's just phenomenal, and she has all these great ideas and blah blah blah. And I'm like, why can't I do that? Just because I want to rap in some of my songs, why can't I sing about a lost lover, or someone that I care about, or whatever? So I definitely try to blend a lot of genres, sounds, and styles. And then especially with some of my new music coming out, which I will be premiering a little bit of it at the Lush Life show, I'm definitely trying to lean more into vulnerability, real content backed with catchy grooves, good music, something to vibe with, but also something that, just like you said, when you lay down at night and it's only you, whether you're listening to the music or just feeling some type of way, like you can relate. People are going through a lot. Instagram and social media always promotes the best out of things, but that's really never the case for most people, including the people who you think. I have so many people every day go, oh man, I wish I lived like you. You're in the studio 24/7. I'm like, dude, you have no idea what's going on the back end, but that's how it is with everyone. So
yeah. Well, we have to wrap it up. So,
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
but I can't wait to give you a big hug. I just can feel
Yeah.
your heart through the screen, and I'm
Yeah.
so excited, and I'm so
Appreciate
glad that you had that moment where you made that choice to do what you're
Yeah.
doing. I
Yeah.
really do feel, even from this far away, that
Yeah.
you are exactly where you need to be. And you will be at the Pershing on Friday at Lush
Yes,
Life
ma'am.
2, and I
Yes,
will be
ma'am.
there as well. Tickets are available online all over everybody. We're going to inundate everybody's social media this week
Cool.
to get them there. But thank you for stopping by and sharing a snippet of who you are and your story.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
Thank you so much for having it. It was a blast.
Of
Look forward
course,
to
of
doing
course.
it again soon.
Definitely. You definitely have to come back on, and you deserve
For
a
sure.
whole episode. So
Yeah, cool. Cool.
that would
Yeah.
be
Hey, I'm
really
all
fun.
down. Just let me know. Yeah, I'm with it.
Awesome.
I'll talk your ear off.
All right. Well, that does it for Vase. Come see us on Friday at the Pershing, April 29th.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right. It's
Yeah,
Clarence James. Welcome to the show, and thanks so much for coming on.
of course. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I was looking forward to meeting you. I've been cramming sessions of listening to all the music and getting a feel for who you are. I'm really excited about Friday night, which by now people watching this episode are very clear what's happening on Friday
Yeah.
night. But first, why don't we start off and just tell me a little bit about where you're from and kind of how you got into music.
I'm from Columbus, Texas. It's like a little small town, like Colorado County, close to Katy, a little close to Houston. I moved
Okay.
to the Austin area around like 13, 14 in like Leander and Georgetown. And then I moved into Austin when I turned 18 and graduated. Now I'm here, still in Austin, 23, or not 23 yet, 22. Um, but yeah, that's kind of my traveling to here. But yeah, I got into music, I guess kind of out of boredom. I was in piano classes when I was like really, really little. We couldn't afford them though, so I stopped that. But I kept the keyboard. I think my piano teacher was like, "Yeah, just take this keyboard." Or I think my mom bought it for like $60. So I started getting back into music when I was like 12, and I would just kind of teach myself music on the keyboard. I was really into like classical and just making my own melodies on the keyboard. And then I then learned guitar, and that's kind of my instrument of choice now because I found it like easier to excel on guitar than it was keyboard. And yeah, I got into producing when I was in my junior year. I would just mess around in FL Studio at first, and then I got Logic. I like pirated it somewhere, and uh, and then yeah, I've just been kind of creating out of boredom since then. It kind of turned into like a thing that I need now. I started doing it so much that I kind of get like anxious when I'm not creating now, because that was just how I spent all my time doing nothing. And now that when I'm just away from it too long, I get like irritable and I'm not creating now. But yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Are you writing your stuff as well? Are you 100% like 360 on your stuff?
Yeah, up to this point, I've only really had drummers come in and work with me. Everything else is all me. I write everything and I produce everything myself.
Yeah, well, then that makes sense why you have that buildup that kind of happens and it has to get out. That makes sense to me because I'm kind of the same way. I really like I have to sit and write every day, just about, or I get kind of not cranky outwardly, but I feel it inside where it's like, okay, because it really is what helps me process the things that are going on in my life and the way that I feel about things. And sometimes
Right.
if I don't know how I feel about something, I just let myself write. And then there it is, it just kind of lands on the page. I think it's a really important part of the process. Yeah.
Yeah, same. I like suffer from like anxiety attacks sometimes, and like when those are happening, I always find that like nothing really helps like going into my studio room and like sitting on my guitar and like waiting it out with that until it's finished. And
Mhm.
sometimes my best songs even come out of those moments with like pure emotion built up, and just spending time with the music and with the instrument.
Of course, that makes sense to me. I feel like in this human experience that we have, so much of, kind of what I was talking with Vase just on the last segment before you, sometimes those lowest points are the entry point to the gold in all of this, And so I think it's important. And I think that makes sense to artists and people who see life through that artistic filter. And so I think it's just a matter of finding a way to maintain a healthy relationship with that. Like the anxiety, you're so not alone. I have anxiety. I've talked about it on other episodes, and it's just about sort of finding the relationship with it and almost learning to welcome it, because there is going to be good that comes out of it. And
Yeah,
one of the things that I do when I'm in that place is I really go to naming out loud what is true and real for me. Because
yeah,
sometimes those anxieties creep in, right? And it's like not the truth, right? It's all fear and
yeah,
insecurity. And so if you purposely stare at it and go, okay, here's what's true and here's what's good, it tends to like dampen the monsters and really give you a laser focus. And if you're writing and creating through that, it's just
yeah.
magic, right?
Yeah, I literally do treat it as like a alchemical process almost. It's like the stuff comes, these feelings come,
Yeah.
and as long as low battery, as long as long as I can focus and as long as I still have a brain to think about it, I always try to take all these thoughts and turn them into good, or take them and like maybe write something that somebody else relate to when they're feeling those thoughts. They'll see mine, or they'll see how I turned it into like a melody or something like that, and it'll, it helps. It heals. Yeah.
Yeah, it helps you and it helps who's listening to it, because then they don't feel like they're the only ones too. It's such a wonderful gift really that you're doing for folks. Let's talk a little bit about Lush Life and what that's been like for you. You guys have been in the studio. Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
How's that been?
It's been really nice. Yeah. After Black Fret happened, James Robinson got in contact, and he just appreciated the music, and he thought I was talented. So he asked me to come into the studio and do some guitar. And I had like a vocal take that I brought in. So I don't know exactly what's going to be used on the song, but
Yeah.
that room was filled with so much positivity. I remember just walking out of the studio with my girlfriend and just being like, wow, everybody was just so nice. Everybody's like really good people in there. Yeah, I'm just glad to be a part of it. I don't know. I sometimes I'm in artistic spaces and you see a lot of like ego in the room, and like people are like, there's like competition sometimes, but I love James Robinson's energy, and just everybody that is involved that was in the room there. Like, I don't know, I just felt none of that. It felt so positive to me. Yeah.
Isn't that the best? It's just the best
Yeah.
when you have people like that. James totally um, is that. He embodies that. I'm so looking forward to Friday night. How are you mentally preparing? Do you get nervous before shows? Like, what's your thought process as we sort of, come toward Friday?
The Pershing is a pretty cool venue. I get nervous before shows a whole lot, but I played there once for Black Fred again, and it was nice. It's kind of got like a jazz club vibe.
Mhm.
I'm kind of excited for it. I like the lack of pressure that the stage has there.
Nice.
Um, yeah, I'm kind of just mentally preparing by practicing, and I don't know, just thinking about it. I I never really know how I'm gonna feel before the set. Sometimes
Yeah.
I'm really anxious, sometimes I'm not. But
Yeah.
yeah,
There's that magical moment where you just sort of have to surrender and you
yeah,
have to go, I have prepared, really, you've been preparing your whole life, Clarence,
Yeah.
right? And then you've extra prepared for this specific event. And then you just kind of have to go and choose to trust yourself. And it's such a beautiful thing to do that. You know, I do that too.
Yeah.
Like I get nervous before talking to people like you. And it's like, then you pop up on the screen and I'm like, okay, Kat, here we go. It's going to be what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I find that most of the time after the show that people usually like it, even if I think I did bad. Like people always come up and they're like, oh, you did so great. So at this point, I'm like, I mean, I can think I suck, but somebody's gonna like it, I hope. I think a lot of the time the music carries itself more than our performances. But
yeah. You have to remember that like everybody sitting in those seats or standing watching you, when they see you up on stage, all they see is courage. You're standing in vulnerability, but what do they see? They are rooting for you. They walk in the room rooting for you, right? It's such a cool dynamic because we can stand there like so scared. and then it's like, but that's not what people see, you know?
Yeah, not at all. Yeah. I've had like my most anxious shows happen and then people like are like, you were so cool up there. Like,
I was sweating.
Yeah. You didn't see my hands shaking?
I love it. I love it. We're all just so human. Well, I'm looking forward to Friday night. I can't wait to meet you and give all of you hugs. I so thoroughly enjoyed talking with you guys today and getting to know you just through Zoom, but expect a big hug on Friday. And we will see you there. So thanks for stopping by the show. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. So just to remind people once again, Friday night, April 23rd at the Pershing Hall. Doors open at 8. Show starts at 9. Tickets are available online, and we will all be blasting our social media all week probably and inundating everybody's timelines and feeds with details to get you guys there. But it's going to be a great show. I can just tell. And there's going to be so much love in that room. So much love. I can just feel it already. So, all right, Clarence, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you on Friday. That does it for this special edition episode for Lush Life 2 of the Austin Downbeat. We'll see you on the flip side.